Bevan James Eyles is an author, former world-class triathlete, award-winning fitness trainer, sports event commentator, I've heard you in person, music lover, piano and guitar.
Mainly piano.
Mainly piano now. It's just to look at it, actually, we've got one ourselves. A wellness promoter, popular podcaster, and all-around energy bunny, tough person. Welcome, Bevan, to Goals and Growth.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You have done Ironman triathlons. For those who don't know, the full Ironman starts with a 3.86k swim.
Yep.
Then you move on to a 180k cycle ride, and you get finished off with a full marathon.
Yeah.
Yep. And no breaks.
Well, you can if you want. You try not to. But
Yeah. So I believe your best time is 9 hours and 5 minutes.
Yes.
So that's incredible. The best ever, I think, is a little under 8 hours.
Yeah, they're really fast now. In the last period, they've gone ridiculously fast. But they're very fast.
So that's endurance plus. So today's interview is a quick, fun sprint by comparison. So, Bevan, why have you always been so amazing?
Oh, well, I haven't been, and I don't know if I definitely am. I actually wasn't amazing, so I was kind of the definition of a failure. So I left school at 16, with no qualifications at all. And the joke I often make is I wasn't the smart kid who didn't apply themselves. I was basically the thick kid. So I couldn't read, I couldn't spell. I basically had no skills at all at this moment in my life. And I actually went down a real destructive path, so drugs and alcohol and just kind of a loss of morals and ethics and a sense of self. I became quite an extreme druggie, so I was very much kind of tried to be stoned as stoned as I possibly could as often as possible. And it got to the point where even my confidence, I became a stutterer just because I had no confidence in myself. And then I had a couple moments which really just kind of shifted my life, and I had a really bad drug experience one night, and it became quite a self-reflective experience, and it kind of made me just realise who I was. And then I literally went cold turkey on drugs and alcohol the next week. I did spelling lessons, I did spelling for 5-year-olds sitting next to me. And then I just kind of started to develop myself. And then once I started to develop myself, I just kind of started to understand that, if you want to be good at something, just work at it. It was such a simple... The guitar was actually the thing. I started playing guitar, and it was the first time I'd ever... Because I was always kind of an okay athlete, but I'd never practiced to be good at something. And guitar was the first time in my life where I was like, I practiced really hard at something, and suddenly I was kind of good at it. And it was just such a simple formula. If you want to be good at something, just practice. And so I was like, well, do that for everything else you do. And so then I just kind of figured out this formula, and you just duplicate it, and it seems to work.
And over the last 20 odd years, since that time, you have done a great deal, as obviously the intro.
I suppose I'm very fortunate. The thing I love about my career, because I think, I don't want to be the guy who just tells you how I've lived my life well. I want to be the guy who's a body of work that shows that I've helped other people live their lives well. And because I think there's a lot of people out there who can very much say, look at me. And I suppose there's a part of my story where you can do that. But I want to get to the end of my career and go look at the people I've helped. And so, the work I'm most proudest of is the work I've done in helping other people progress in ways they didn't think were possible. And as I look at my journey, that's where I see my body of work now. There's always going to be growth within that for me and things I'm trying to achieve, but it's actually more about the impact you can have.
Interesting, you're talking about finding it difficult to read and spell, because of course you're an author.
Yeah.
You're a published author.
Yeah.
I've bought your book, and I'm very impressed by it. So I was reading your book, and that's the fitness attitude, and you state the importance of black and white rules. Can you explain a little more about that?
Yeah, so when I was on drugs and alcohol, in some ways it was actually easy for me to go, because I just said, I'm no longer doing it. And it's this whole concept of sometimes when you just totally stop doing something, it really helps you, because what you do is you eliminate the need to fight negotiation. And so for what a lot of people do is they might have an aspect of behaviour in their life that they struggle with. Let's say it's alcohol. So you know that you drink to a level that you know is unhealthy. And I'm not frowning upon alcohol. I think for some people it's a fine thing to have in their life. But there are people, there's a bad level of alcohol. So if you think to yourself, I'm not going to drink anymore, you remove that kind of lawyer in your head. Whereas if you kind of say to yourself, I'm only going to drink on weekends, then the negotiator's going to pop up. You know what I mean? So some maybe you've had a big day at work one day and it's a Wednesday and you get home and you think you need some wine to relax. Now, because I don't drink, that never pops up in my head. I never have that negotiation. Whereas if you kind of have a little bit of an opening, you tend to find you just tend to go back to your base behaviours. And so sometimes in some areas of your life, it's maybe worth assessing, am I better to remove this behaviour totally away from my life? And for me with alcohol, that's, you know, I never think about alcohol because it's no longer my kind of world. And I know alcohol is quite an extreme example, but even certain foods, you know, some people struggle with certain foods. You know, just those little things where you could have behaviours that ultimately make you feel disappointed about yourself. And if you just if they no longer existed to you, it would actually probably be easier to never face them.
Because sometimes 99% isn't enough.
Yeah, totally, because you open the crack. And the negotiator in your head is kind of their job to kind of open up more. And often they'll win. And especially in fatigue moments and all those things, so yeah.
So you've been in the fitness industry for 20 years now, and it seems to be booming.
Yeah.
Got lots of new fitness centres around Christchurch to show. Yet we also hear of rising rates of obesity and a general lack of fitness among many people, particularly young people. How do you think we can change that?
I think fitness has to become a more important part of our community. You know, I think that when I look at the work that we've done for our running business and trying to help beginner exercises, I think that ultimately the one thing we've done really well is build community around it. And it's that sense of I belong to something. And when we look at people nowadays, the community's died in many ways. Like if we look at what we all are time poor. You know, when I do public talks, you kind of say, who's busy right now? And everyone puts their hands up. And the downfall of time poor is that we no longer have time to give. You know, we think back to like the 80s, like running clubs or communities were big. You know, sporting communities were big. And that was kind of because we all kind of understood that I'm going to take from the community, but I'm going to give back to the community. And so we could commit that time. And so then the value of the community became a really strong thing. And there's many answers to that question, but I think that if we can start to implement kind of community around movement, and there's that sense of belonging, then there's going to become accountability, then the flow on effective exercise is going to become, but if you feel a part of a community, you're going to turn up and you're going to exercise. Now you have to also think about creating products at the right level for beginners. Most fitness products are just too hard for a beginner exercise, so we just make them fail. So you do need to think about things like that as well. But I think that if we could see, like I often think that nowadays with fitness professionals, they want to become an internet star. And to me, you know, that's a pretty hard game anyway. But secondly, I think there's real value in just being a really amazing community leader in your fitness area. Like if you live in a part of town in your suburb, if you can be a leader in that area and you can build a community around that which is accessible for all types of people, creates connections with your community. Because we talk about health. And movement is such an obvious answer to health, but health is so much more than that. And in the loss of community, we've lost so many aspects of health that are really important. And fitness to me can be the biggest provider of that, because we have shared experiences around healthy behaviours where we're growing and developing ourselves and we're supporting each other along the way. So to me, one of the biggest and most important aspects of that is how do we build more communities that are accessible for a broad population.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Sarah, my co-host, and I have been talking about movement on this show. And it's interesting, you mentioned about movement, you know, like those movement communities. Not just lots of sweat-inducing exercise, but simple stuff like getting up from your desk every once in a while, having to walk around, watching the TV standing up, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, getting a small cup instead of a large one, so that you have to get up more often to fill up your drink. Do you find that the words fitness and exercise can scare some people from starting? Yeah,
because I have this thing that when we look at the people who are failing with exercise, it's not that they haven't tried. It's often that they've tried a lot of times and failed a lot of times. So it's one thing to say you should try health or fitness, but if you have a history of failing, it's really hard to try. Because every time you go, you kind of see yourself, you know, you have a failed experience. So every time you fail, it makes it harder and harder to go back to it. And so for a lot of people, when they think about fitness, you know, one of the things I have is I get a lot of respect in our community because I'm good at fitness. Now, I get respect because I'm good at the thing that everyone else sucks at. You know what I mean? You know, I'm really good at the thing that most people suck at. The thing is, I don't find exercise hard. So I get a massive amount of respect for something that I don't find very hard. But when people see that I can get up tomorrow morning and go run for a 90-minute run, they think I'm climbing Mount Everest. But I'm not. I'm just going for like brushing my teeth. It's really easy for me to do. And so what we need to do with movement is we need to allow people to have success with movement. And so one of the most important things, and we do this with our beginner running group, the first thing we think of with our beginner running group is what we call an entry point. An entry point we guarantee they can succeed. Because if we can, and for us that's like a 3.5 minute walk and 30 seconds of light jogging, and we teach them light jogging, it's no intensity at all. Now if we can get them to come along and have that first point of entry and they succeed, then they think, oh, maybe I could do that again. And then what you do is you kind of slowly, so you give them entry points, you make them succeed, and then you stretch them at the right level. Because what most people don't know how to do is how to have a right entry point. So most people, when they try to fast start exercise, they start at an ability that's way above where they are, so they set themselves up to fail. And then even if they do well in the first bit, they try to jump too high too quickly. So they just basically set themselves up to fail. So movement is something we all need, and we should learn to love the challenge, but we've got to learn to navigate it in the wise ways. And that's why I think about where am I right now? What's the right level that I should be trying to, just to start with right now? Like even right now, if you know you can get outdoor and do 30 minutes of walking, that's all you should be trying to do. And then once you've done that for a while, you'll learn the habit of exercise. And then you can start to kind of add more on, then you can start to find intensity. But it's that kind of journey of your right entry point and the right stretch. And that's where a good mentor can help you.
I think that's some really good advice. Now, we've got a personal story to tell. It's not my story, but it's one relayed by my sister. She was not into any sports growing up or as an adult. She didn't exercise. However, when she turned 50, she decided to run.
Oh, wow.
She told me that she had to teach herself to run. And I was stunned by this. I thought that, because I've always been a reasonable runner, I thought that everybody could run. It was like one of those natural things that everybody has. But I met numerous people who said they don't know how to run or have had to learn. She did learn, and not only did she learn, she has completed, I think, at least 5 half marathons now.
Wow.
I'm so proud of her fantastic progress. What would be your tips to help those getting started?
Don't do it by yourself. Like, you can, but it's so much harder. And you're going to make every mistake along the way. And so I fundamentally believe that the wisest way to a path forward is to get someone who can guide you. And ultimately guide, and someone who's guided others. Because again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's one thing to say, well, I can run marathons, so just do what I do. But it's different when you've dealt with people who have helped others along the way. And it's almost one of the problems of the world now, because everyone just goes to the internet to try to find a program. I'll just download a program off the internet. But
it's free.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And there's so much more than a program. Like one of the things with our group, you've got to teach them how to manage intensity. You've got to teach them correct technique movement. You've got to teach them, a lot of the people have so much insecurity around exercise, so you've got to teach them, nurture them so they can build confidence and esteem. Yeah, totally. Like for our beginner runners, we never push intensity. It's the worst thing you could give them. We give them love. Hey, you're doing well. You can do this. It's support and love. And so to think that if you've never done exercise in your life, to think that you're going to have all the answers along the journey, you're just making it hard for yourself. And there is a cost. You're going to have to pay for someone to support you along the way, but it's a good investment. Because if you increase it, I always love the idea of how do I increase my chance of success? And if you want to achieve the goal, one of the easiest ways is to invest in someone who's going to help you along the way. Now, if you don't do that, and you just download an internet program, the chance of success goes a lot lower. So the actual cost is way higher because you're never going to get healthy and fit. So you might be thinking I'm saving money, but you're never really going to get to where you want to get to. Now, there is the odd person who breaks through, don't get me wrong, but to me, if you go, what's the easiest way for me to be successful? Definitely get a mentor.
And that's definitely going to help as far as the motivation. So it's not just the initial starting motivation, it's sustaining that motivation, because we're talking typically ultimately about habits of life, aren't we? So,
well, what a great mentor does is they go, where are you right now? And where do I need to get you next? And that's like, if someone who's totally studying, I'm not saying I need to get to a marathon. That's not the next step. The next step is how do I get you into a habit of exercise? And what are the hurdles I know people are going to have to overcome in that habit of exercise? And so then we put in place those things. And then once you've got to that point, then we go, okay, well, how do I get to where we need to go next? So like with our running program, our first is, okay, getting into the habit. And then we have a 10K, so they do like a 5K program, then they do a 10K product. And when they get to 10K, we know they can now run 5Ks quite comfortably. So now we say the next part of their journey is to start to learn to add intensity. But we're not killing them, we're saying, okay, let's explore intensity. So yeah, a good mentor has the ability to look at a person and go, okay, where are they now? Where do I need to get to? And then what's the wisest way to that path? And then, support and guidance along the way.
Does it always need to be running? As far as getting fit?
Oh no, God, no. Like I love running. No, I think the person who tells you that one form of exercise is the right form of exercise is a fool. The form of exercise that works is the one you enjoy doing.
If you're dancing,
if you love
aerobic type dancing.
Yeah, I do think you want to look for growth. I do think growth is an important part because it's rewarding, and there's so much. And because to me, exercise is one of the greatest things to learn self. That's the greatest value. The greatest feedback we get from our runners is when someone goes, "I'm just a better person because I'm doing this thing." Now they're healthier and fitter, but they're learning about themselves. And to me, that's the value. You learn character, you learn higher level self, which opens up possibility. But no, like again, I promote running, but no, the key is spend some. Like I kind of wrote this piece a while ago called "The Baby Steps of Exercise," and it's kind of like if you were just going to kind of take someone from nothing, And the first step was just learn how to get out the door. That's all you're going to measure. Can I get out the door and just do something? So 10-minute walk, year one. But one of the early steps was explore movements. So instead of saying you have to do one, because what a lot of people do is they think of the result. So they go, I want to lose weight, and runners are really skinny, so I'll run. But you might hate running. So it's not a good strategy. So you're better off to go, I'm going to try 5 different movements. I might try a Zumba class, I might try something at Les Mills, I might try a running group, I might try a rowing thing, whatever. You're just going to try some different movements. After a period of time, one's going to appeal to you. And if it appeals to you and you enjoy it, there's a much higher chance you're going to do it. So to me, no, there's no one answer. And that's why I find it frustrating when you get fitness professionals and say, this is the way. It's like, well, it is for you. But, look at the Olympics. How many different ways can we move?
Exactly. We're all about goals and growth here. Can you give me some of your learnings, or just one, in fact, if you wish, about goals, goal setting and their achievement?
Yeah, I'm not a big person on a formula for everybody. So even like SMART goals, which is kind of what everyone talks about, I don't know if that's true. I think I love this idea of what's your success formula. So I love this idea of your journey in your life is to learn how to be successful. And you want to use experiences and challenges and interactions to kind of figure that formula out. And as you evolve in life, it's this formula you'll figure out for yourself. Because like I could tell you need to do this, and it might be a total disaster, but it might work for the next person really well. And to me, when you look at the most successful people, they've figured out how to be successful.
Know yourself.
Yeah, and like you look at a Richie McCaw, whatever he does next, he's going to be successful at, don't you? You know what I mean? And so I like this to kind of, you get some athletes who are just good at their sport. And once they leave their sport, their kind of life falls to pieces. And then you get other athletes who leave their sport and they go on to have an amazing life. Peter Snell, greatest runner in the world at the time, gone on to be a hugely successful academic, quite an influential man in a totally different area. So he's a successful person. And I can guarantee you if you said to Peter Snell, go into this area, he'd know how to be successful. Because he's figured out a formula. And I kind of think that ultimately part of your journey in life is to figure out your formula. And that's why I do sport, but the reason I started playing piano is because I'm really good at movement. I'm not that challenged by it anymore. Like I know how to run a race fast, I know how to train, I'm disciplined, that's not hard for me. Piano, I'm low level, so it's really challenging me, but I'm learning more about success, which I would have never learned through sport. But I also brought the success I learned from sport to piano. And so that's, to me, I kind of think that ultimately your job is to try different techniques, put yourself in situations, and you'll learn what works for you, because there's no one formula for everyone. But if you can understand my journey is to understand my success formula and then duplicate that into different areas of life, well, you will be successful.
So we've talked about goals, or the success formulas, as you would say it. For the growth part, what path do you see growth going from your own experiences? Is it linear? In other words, is it constantly getting a little bit each day, or is it more about peaks, plateaus, even a few valleys?
To me, it's just consistency, isn't it? You know, so to me, growth is day in, day out. You know, like if you look at anyone in fitness, you know, you get these, you know, I've had people run for years now, and you get people who are still progressing. You know, there's the ones who turn up day in, day out. But it's that Anders Ericsson thing, it's that thing of, you still got to look to challenge yourself each day. So it's not just turning up, you know, the rule of 10,000 hours, or it's not really true unless you do effortful work. So I can sit in front of the VAPA for 10,000 hours and be the same. You know, like people go to work, people work 10,000 hours, but they're not actually any better at their job. So it's that intentional effort on top of it. But I do think that if you have intentional effort, and you put some, I do also think you've got to put time aside to do some good thinking. Because, you know, like, what are your strategies to help your growth? Are you doing have you really thought about how to get me to A to B in the best, wisest way? And if you can actually put that time aside and then develop a good plan and consistently sit on it, you know, you just get breakthroughs, don't you? You know, and that's the thing about persistence, isn't it? Like, I've been doing sight reading a lot on piano, and it's one of the things that I've always struggled with. In the last period, I've just thought, no, I'm just going to do it every day. And, you know, and then every once in a while, you know, oh no, I'm definitely another level now. You know, and you get those little breakthroughs. And if you're persistent, but there's lots of days when I'm like, you know, where are we going to get there? You know, and that's the journey, isn't it? And I think that's the thing, is when you learn to love the journey and you learn to understand that growth is the buzz, you know, and that persistence is the buzz, then you'll get the breakthroughs. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bevan. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your experiences, being so open, and really looking forward to catching up with you again sometime.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.